Welcome to CRASHTON Talks. This episode is brought to you by me, Chris Ashton, because this show has zero sponsors. Woohoo! A woohoo! This week I wanted to kind of talk to you about some things that I'd written down. If you're wondering why this week there's still no guest, it's because, one, I couldn't get a hold of anybody. I'm kidding on. No, it was basically because I wanted to start off the new year with a new kind of format and stuff. But I might still do videos like this just because I get bored and stuff. But I think in the meantime I'm going to talk, and then after the holidays we'll get guests on and stuff. I managed to watch the first episode like 30,000 times, and I cringed my way through most of it, which I'm sure I'll do if I watch this one back. But yeah, so I've made a wee list of things that I wanted to talk about. The first thing I've written down is like weird interactions with like known folk, because that seemed to be the thing that people found most interesting from last week. And the first thing is, like, I used to study music at Cumbernauld College, like, between 2005 and 2010, and after I studied music, I took a year out to study film and television. And the guy that ran the course was a guy called Alan Moffat, who used to be in a band called The Diggers, and they were signed to Creation at the same time as Oasis. A wee fact for you. And Alan was good friends with a guy called Jon Fratelli, who's the singer in the Fratellis. And he managed to get Jon to agree to come down and open the new music department. So the music department had built this new studio at the time, and Jon came down and kind of opened it. And after, like, Alan had selected like a few students to it's the worst thing in the planet. He'd selected like a few students to like come and show him round and all that stuff, just for like the fucking college, and so he could pretend to be like, oh wow, and I could pretend to be like, that's a mute button. But anyway, after it there was a Q&A with the like arts, like the music, film and art students in the rock room, which was like this big kind of room in the college at the time. And that was fine. That was the kind of end of that thing. But after it, between the Fratelli's second album and third album, Jon started a band called Codeine Velvet Club, and Alan had managed to. Well, Alan obviously does like filming and stuff like that, and he'd got a job basically filming the band live at their launch at Oran Moor. And he'd asked me if like I'd go along and help them. And I'm not a particularly great videographer, but I guess Alan had just sort of like put the two things together, where it was like, I'm into music, Jon's a musician, be a good opportunity to kind of rub shoulders and stuff like that. Rub some shoulders and rub some feet, and maybe some cream on some folks' backs. So I went along, and I done the job, and then I was sitting at the table with Alan, a couple other guys. And Alan said, there's an after party, like, after this you should go along to it. I was like, oh, that would be really cool. And he was like, but we kind of need to go. And I was like, alright, okay. So after about an hour they left, and I was sitting at the table like, I really want to go to this fucking after party, but like, I don't know where it is. So I went kind of like behind the bar, and I seen this guy that kind of looked like he knew where fucking people were. So I walked up to him, and he was like, oh, you here for the after party? And I was like, oh yeah. And he was like, we'll just go in the lift and press 2. So I went in and pressed 2, and then the doors opened up into this like big room that had these big like fucking expensive wooden cabinets full of alcohol and stuff. And the room was full of people, and at the back of the room was like Jon Fratelli and the rest of the band. I was like, bloody hell. So I walked into the room, and he came over and started talking to me, and was just weird. Like, I got talking to him about the music industry, and then he introduced me to like the guy that produced Codeine Velvet Club album and stuff, and like I've just never really forgotten it, because it was like a weird, it's one of those weird things. Because like during the day I was just living my normal life, and then all of a sudden I was in this fucking place. But I've had loads of things that are like that, and I think I mentioned it last week, but I just never felt like I belong in those environments, so it's hard to like fucking take it all in. And I still don't even know if this podcast is like a good idea or not. You know what I mean? Like I think I want to talk to some people that I've met over the years, that I've wanted to meet over the years. But then I think I kind of want to just talk to like friends and stuff as well. Like if there's anybody that's like tuning in for whatever reason you're tuning in, like I know some cool people that are just like people, you know what I mean? Like, I think that you would find really interesting. I think that might be like a cool idea too. So we'll see how that goes. Another thing I've written down is like where I am now, like versus where I thought I would be. So like when I started out, it was my brother-in-law had taught me like a few chords. A guy called David Gibson. He taught me like a couple of chords on guitar. He was sitting like playing in my mum's living room. He was playing the Limp Bizkit guitar part in the Mission Impossible theme tune. You know, they done like I think it was like the second one. They done the theme tune for it, and he was just sitting playing the riff, and I was like, why fucking play that? So he taught me like some chords. He showed me how to play the riff, and then a couple of weeks later, I went into school, and it was like the first day back, and I was sitting next to this guy. I told him like I'd started learning how to play guitar, and he was like, oh fucking I started learning how to play drums. The guy's name happened to be Gary Gilmore, like the song. But so me and Gary were like, well, let's get a band together, like. And he was like, cool, that would be great. His drum kit was set up in his mum's house, so we would go there like every Wednesday and just practice. And like some people kind of came and left the band like over like maybe 6 months to a year, and then we settled on like a 3-piece. It was like first of all, my brother-in-law was like, if he's got a bass player, we were like, no, we don't even know what a fucking bass is. And we ended up asking a guitarist that we knew if he knew how to play bass, and he was like, I could fucking figure it out. So he done that, and we ended up with this 3-piece called Nevertheless. But after like the kind of first year, I remember walking with Gary in school, and we were just talking about the band and what we would want to do, and we both like agreed that like this is what we want to do for the rest of our lives. And I think at that point we thought that meant like fucking we're going to be rock stars, we're going to be like fucking Motley Crue or Nirvana or something like that. But the way it's turned out is obviously vastly different, and it just does. Like your musical influences change, your like perspective of the world changes as well. Like for me, having a child, like I've got a little boy, and that's completely like altered my view of how I want to be in the world, how I want to be viewed in the world, how I think the world should fucking be. And like being, like I used to think like being a fucking well-known musician would fulfill something in me that it just wouldn't. And having a son like completely has completely changed that. I think because you want the best for them as well. You know, you want them to grow up in a world where they don't want validation all the time. But yeah, so that's something that's pretty cool. But in fact, the other thing with that is like when you have like so much time on your hands, like not having a child, or if you just don't have something that is like taking up a lot of your time, you sort of like chase down, when you've got like a brain that's just constantly going all the time, you try and chase down every idea that you've got, whether it's a song, whether it's like an idea for a music video, or just something fucking crazy like this. Like I would have like instead of just settling on like some sort of format to get the information out there, I'd have like tried to like overcompensate, and it just would never have came to anything. But like having a child has like locked me down into it being like, if I'm going to chase an idea, it has to come to something and it has to be worthwhile, which is cool because I know that everything that I'm going to do is going to work, you know. Like, it's probably a lot of like musicians not having like a backbone in their life. By backbone I mean like something like a child or sort of like family, something that keeps you grounded. Sort of like fail on the way up, and by failure I don't mean like you don't get your record deal or anything. I mean like your perspective of the world. You know, you could be the most famous musician on the planet, but if you don't have that thing that keeps you grounded, I think you'll fall off quite easily, like psychologically or literally, like financially or whatever. Oh yeah. So I think some point I want to get Gary on. I'd like to do it at a point where there's a lot of people tuning in, because Gary's quite an interesting person and we've known each other for a long time as well. He's done some really, really cool stuff. I don't know if I mentioned this, but he toured, like, he played drums and toured with a band called Dearly Beloved, and Dearly Beloved is fronted by a girl called Neva and a guy called Rob, and Rob he's a phenomenal bass player and singer, but he's also the nephew of the bass player from Rush as well. So they're doing like really, really well. There's the fucking phenomenal band too, but Gary went on tour with them and he's just got some amazing insight to the world. He's got some cool and crazy views about the world as well, in terms of music and just his philosophy. So I think it'd be cool to get him on at some point, and some other folks. But yeah, I'm going to wrap things up, and I know it's coming close to Christmas, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. But thanks again for tuning in, and Merry Christmas and all that when it comes around. And hopefully, if I don't get another episode in before the end of the year, then I'll see you after the new year with some guests. Okay, so I'm going to try and wrap things up with a wee button. Take care of your winter coats with Coat Winter.